Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Evan Geyer. Today, I'm going to talk about pieces of the teleportation and warp speed puzzles. At the end of this, I'll talk about, well, I personally am a boy, and girls might not understand this. However, I will share my thoughts on why boys might mistakenly think that they are gay or bisexual when they really are not. And I'll share that at the end. So back to pieces of teleportation and warp speed. Well, teleportation is really just the breaking apart of atoms and the putting back together of atoms. So if you think of a hydrogen fuel cell, it breaks apart atoms and energy is created, and then water is the byproduct. So if we had something where there was an immense energy and potentially light combined with that energy, much like a phaser that you might see on Star Trek, and these are small, that might be when the technology is refined, and you would want to regulate this kind of stuff so that it's not dangerous. However, if there is a way when we die to go to heaven or to go back up into space, that's atoms traveling from the body back up to space. So that's warp speed, is you turn into an atom, your atoms are separated and brought apart, and then you move as an atom through to where you want to go, and you can go faster as an atom than as a body or an entity that is solid and put together. So that's kind of the teleportation and warp speed. It's really a puzzle. However, when they study the breaking apart of atoms and how you do that on a small scale, and I don't have the resources to study this in my home with a science kit or something like that. You see that if they can do it in a fuel cell, that it could be possible to literally break apart the atoms of a human being and put them back together somewhere else. And atoms can travel through walls and things like that because the walls are solid. However, an atom is so small that it can travel through, and so it could be re-put together at another place. You attract the atoms together, to basically, like, it's kind of like Star Trek. You warp them up, you warp them down. And if we could do this for goods, that would dramatically increase productivity in the private sector, and it would make a lot less work for people who have to manually move products from location to location. We could just teleport things. So someday I'd like to look more into that. However, that's the basics 101 of teleportation and warp speed: the separating of atoms and the bringing together of atoms. So one thing I also wanted to just talk about, um, you know, um, when I went to college at U of O, and I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers here. I'm just saying that I was trying to campaign for vice president of the student body. I asked Todd Mann, I asked Adam Petkin, I asked the ASUO if someone would be my president, and no one wanted to be my president. And so I ran a campaign for president because no one would be my president. And this might have been the reason me trying to run for vice president rather than president, that the election was actually overturned, and no regrets. However, I think the election might have been overturned back in college. And how will we know if it was actually overturned? How will we know if Evan actually won the election? Where's your proof in an election where there were no ballots, where it was all done online? Your proof is if there's some sort of demonstration in the future. What is it? It's April 12th, 2024. Um, if there's some sort of demonstration in the future, um, when uh, when people get together, that would be a verification that the election was actually overturned and people got together to redeem an election from the past sometime in the future, in a time that is better, when he's a better candidate and has more promise. Anyway, so if you look at general relativity and the theory of relativity, it says that that things are kind of the same out there. And I think it should be irrelativity. Just like each human being is different, each sector or atom of space could be a little bit different. The stars are different. And I think that it's actually the theory of irrelativity. And when you think of things different, when you're trying to move through different things rather than the same thing, you need to know that what you're looking for is unique when you're doing teleportation and warp speed, rather than what you're looking for is not unique and that it's all the same. So you've got to identify a human down to the atom, what it is, scan it, get it identified down to the atom of who this person is, what their makeup is. They got gene toolkits where you can order a toolkit and you can have your genes identified so that you know who you are and you can do ancestry things and who your parents were. Well, if we can do this down to the atom, then we might be able to work on teleportation and warp speed. However, until we can do it down to the atom and get every atom of the human being, and maybe an outline of the human being, because my hair sticks out sometimes and I don't want to be teleported without my hair. Then we can begin to try to take steps in the future to work on warp speed and teleportation. And we can start with basic things like an apple. And then we can put a worm in the apple and see if it moves, if it teleports. So back to the beginning, I was going to tell you about the whole why people think they're gay when they're actually not. And you're probably curious. I'm a boy, so I have these experiences. And girls might not have these experiences. Not every boy might have these experiences. However, I think most boys actually do have these experiences. And, I I'll just say it. When boys get erection from other boys, it does not mean they are gay. It doesn't mean they want to go all the way with a boy. However, you can get stimulated. Um, just like if you're looking at the internet and you see a guy and a girl together, I'm talking about X-rated stuff. You get stimulated. Boys don't look at just girls and lesbians. There's usually at least once when they're looking a boy and a girl and they get stimulated. But that does not mean they are gay. And I want people to know this because this is very important. It says in the Bible, don't be gay. And I think that boys don't want to be misleaded. They think that occurs and they think, oh, maybe I'm gay, maybe I'm bisexual. Well, that does not mean you want to go all the way in a relationship with another boy. You could still be straight and you could still get stimulated um, by other boys in some aspect, whether it's a boy and a girl together or a boy or wrestling or however it might occur. So this is a really deep subject, and I just wanted to talk about it because people need to understand, and I understand. It took me a while to figure it out. When someone would ask me, I would say, I think I'm bisexual. Well, later in life, I learned that no, I'm straight, and I want to go all the way with a girl, and I want a serious relationship with a girl, and not a guy. So that's important. Just educational. Um, and yes, that's the end of this. You can like and subscribe to more of the videos. I got a lot of educational stuff out there. Um, Thank you for watching. I will talk to you later and see ya.